Let's go live in 3, 2, and 1. Live. Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Weather Center Nazario. Today we're going to be doing a very casual live stream. We're going to be doing some New Year's resolution discussion, a little bit of New Year's wishing, as well as talking what it is that we have on the horizon for the United States almost all together because of how widespread and expansive this next storm system is expected to be. So we'll give it a couple moments, let some folks join us here. I hope I'm not interrupting any kind of festivities. I'm in between cooking and getting the house ready for family later today. So I figured now would be the best time because I know everyone's going to be encompassed with their shenanigans later on this evening. No one's going to want to tune into YouTube. No one's going to want to watch YouTube. No one's going to want to make anything on YouTube. So that's why we're kind of taking a break and getting into some of that now. But quite a bit to discuss, to tell you the truth, quite a bit. There's at least 2, if not maybe 3 possible very severe scenarios that I'm watching for as we go into the beginning of the new year, with the earliest bout of potential significant weather coming in the first weekend, this upcoming weekend, as a matter of fact, of January, the 5th and 6th into the 7th, especially for the southeast. Ethan's Life, Gary, welcome in. I have like a hair dangling in front of my face. How's everybody doing? We'll get a couple more folks. Hear the latest in NASCAR. I did not hear. No. What's up, Gary? What do you got? We'll go ahead and shoot the breeze for a little bit, say hello to some folks as we get started, and then we'll go roll through the brief, do a little bit of New Year's wishing, send you all the celebrations, festivities, get started. And I don't really think we're going to have too many folks joining us today. I would imagine everybody is either posturing right now or on their way to wherever it is that they're going to ring in the new year today. Lots of traveling going on. I know a few viewers of my own here are probably not going to be in the stream because they are out and about elsewhere. But you know what? It's phenomenal weather down here in the southeast. I'm very, very thankful that the forecast came true, and it is a glorious day out there, at least here in Florida right now. Really comfortable temperatures, not a whole lot of wind to help increase whatever kind of wind chill we have out there. So it is beautiful. We're going to have a little bit of a fire pit going in the backyard. There we go. I had an eyelash or an eyebrow lash hanging down. Ethan's Life, sure, let's do it. I know I told you we were going to be going live before the new year, so let's rock and roll. But anyways, while Ethan's getting that orchestrated, and we might have a few more people joining us here momentarily, we're only 3 minutes into the stream. Basically, what we are going to talk about is not 1, not 2, but 3 major low-pressure systems. 2 are going to skirt through the south, very reminiscent of what we've already seen throughout much of this El Nino-style winter. And then we're going to have a very, very extensive cold plunge come out of the western Canadian provinces through the Rockies, and it's going to fire off a very strong baroclinic low over the Central Plains moving up towards the Midwest. But in its wake, we're going to have such substantial temperature discontinuity and such thickness contrast on either side of it. I really think if we don't see any severe weather on the first 2 storms that work their way through the Gulf Coast into Florida, we're definitely going to see some kind of a quadrant of severe weather fire up over the southeast. Cale Yarborough died either last night or today. Wow, that's a shame. I did not hear about that. That's terrible to hear. Wow. I've been watching him race for a little while, too. That's wild to hear. Shucks. And Ethan's Life, a $20 donation. I'm doing something nice for your holidays, for your largest donation in the stream yet. Thank you very, very much for that. A little belated Christmas present, I guess you could say. That is fantastic. Thank you. That is fantastic. And it's funny, too, because I just had to replace or purchase the ignition switch for my Eclipse. And it cost just above $20. So there you go. Look at that. Ethan contributed to getting the Weather Center mobile back on the road. Ooh, that's hot. Wow, I should not have sipped that just yet. How close are we? Welcome in. Oh, Ethan's Life with another $5 donation. Shoot, thank you very, very much for that. Thank you extremely for that. Honestly, that's a great way to start the New Year's Eve for sure, especially since I just got that ignition switch in the mail. Yeah, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I posted earlier today that I was outside, not only just admiring how wonderful the weather is today here in Central Florida, but I was also once again trying to get my Mitsubishi Eclipse. It's an '07 to turn over, and unfortunately, it just wasn't having it. The ignition switch is totally dead on it, and I know it's the ignition switch because everything else electrical is doing just fine. I know the battery's not dead. The battery was only replaced about 7 months ago, earlier this year, sometime I think in May, if I'm not mistaken, May or June. And starter's good. Alternator obviously is good. And it's not ignition related, it's electrical, so that's the last piece of the puzzle, is just figuring out if it's the ignition switch. It shouldn't take me any more than 30 minutes to replace, so we'll see. How's your day been? It's been pretty good, Ethan. I'll definitely say so far. I've got 3 London broil marinating right now, plus a pulled pork in the slow cooker, so we're going to have a lot of good protein to eat later on tonight with some other hors d'oeuvres and festivities. We're going to probably go out and get a couple more little itinerary items, as well as a bottle of champagne for the new year this evening. And yeah, we're going to see what happens. And then we're also going to talk weather here momentarily. Go Bucks. What are your New Year resolutions? Well, one big resolution of mine that I'm sure you guys will probably already figure is growing the community across the board. I have a big resolution. And you know what? I would feel humbly satisfied with my YouTube channel if we could hit 10,000 subscribers this upcoming year. Oh, we were just at SeaWorld yesterday. As a matter of fact, we were at SeaWorld yesterday. Good day to go. Definitely a good day to go. Today is an even better day to go, honestly, so I'm a little jelly that you're out there, which is awesome. I'll definitely look forward to seeing those pictures. Gary, I've been there plenty of times, dude. Especially when I was in the military, there were a lot of times where as everyone was ringing in the new year, Happy New Year, I was getting ready for a shift change, so I know exactly where you're at. 110%. But all right, it doesn't look like we're going to have too many other people joining us today. I might make a very small update after this, just to have something hard on the channel. But yeah, this is the first time we're actually below double digits, which is pretty crazy. We're actually getting close to the 6,000 subscriber milestone. I'm surprised, too. I didn't think I was going to get very many folks to subscribe with that last video, especially since it's been doing so weak on the channel, but we've got a lot of new subscribers. I don't know if they're coming over from TikTok and I'm already blurring them together, but I've been posting it on TikTok as well, and we're going up. We're only 4 away now from 5,900, and then we're in the 100 home stretch to 6,000. So who knows? Maybe we can hit 6,000 and start working our way towards 7,000 before the hurricane season. Because Gary, once again, bringing up a very valid point, we do have to get prepared early for this hurricane season. I think it's going to be a very, very rough one indeed. We're going to talk about that as we move forward into the beginning of the new year. We'll start to unravel that again. But all right, we've been in the stream for 8 minutes now. Let's get going. We're not going to have too many folks joining us today. Like I said, I might come off of this and do a very brief update to post hard on my channel. I thought a live stream would be a little easier. Folks who wanted to join could join, and folks who didn't, they don't have to. But right now, we're looking at a very benign pattern. We have another upper-level system working its way through the Midwest, bringing in some snow, a little bit of increased cold weather out of the Canadian provinces. So not too much in the way of spectacular weather. Well, going back to work on my truck, saw you was live, so hey, and I'll be safe. See you next year. Yes, sir, Gary. Have a good one. Dark Earth, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. Just doing a brief synopsis of what we're going to expect here very soon. So yeah, upper low, bringing in a little bit of extra snow and maybe some sporadic rainfall as it moves through the Midwest, the Great Lakes, headed towards the Northeast like they all do. We have a very, very broad and distorted ridge, or I should say very sharp and distorted ridge out over the west. It kind of runs up like this. It's getting ready to topple over and let the next batch of very strong jet energy come in. In fact, it might be hard to see on this satellite overlay, but you can kind of see it coming in to the area of responsibility, the AOR, as I like to say, somewhere off the Pac Northwest California coast. And all in all, we are doing spectacular down here in the southeast. We have all this dry air, no real cloud cover, no wind, nothing like that down here. So, as I'd mentioned a few days ago, even though it got a lot of people kind of up in a bunch with the talk of cold air coming down, it still looks like it's phenomenal weather down here, in my opinion. I know the Gulf Coast states and further to the north in Tennessee, the Carolinas are probably a little colder than we are, but down here, I couldn't ask for anything better. It is phenomenal. But let's get into this. Let's go ahead and start working our way in. Where did I put my GFS? Oh, I lost my GFS. Let's go ahead and just open a new tab. Pull this over. There we go. All right, 12 Zulu GFS. So this is the talk of the town, in my opinion. So as we go through time, this is tomorrow morning after all of our New Year's Day celebrations, if you will, begin to kick off. Down over the Gulf of Mexico, we're expecting right through here as we go Tuesday into Wednesday for our first low-pressure system to form up. Not a whole lot of weather expected with this. I do not think that this is going to be a significant or let alone a severe weather maker. I think this bad boy right here is mainly just going to prime the south and the southeast environment for what's to come. Because if you look back upstream over the California coast, we have our 540 line. We have another cold pocket breaking way through California, Nevada, getting ready to move through the desert southwest, where we're going to see surface cyclogenesis form up pretty much where we always do. It's been like clockwork right around the Texas-Oklahoma panhandle, and it's going to continue off to the east. So there's our first guy that's going to help to increase our rain and shower activity. I'm not thinking we're going to have too much in the way of thunderstorms. It looks like there's going to be some leftover cold air still kicking it up over the Great Lakes in the Northeast thanks to that first system that's rolled through. Again, everything's just kind of priming the environment right now, which is very interesting and why I wanted to do a live discussion on this as opposed to a full video, because I can dive in and dissect it a little bit. So we have cold air still butted up against our northeast quadrant of the U.S. We're trying to get a little bit of good return flow to the southeast to create a collision area over the plains, over the Dixie Alley area, and then further in towards the Gulf of Mexico coastline. As I said, as this is pulling cold air and extra moisture snowfall down out of the northeast, we're finally seeing it fire up as it gets ready to move towards Bermuda. I haven't really talked Bermuda in a little bit, and I do apologize for that if I still have any of you subscribers watching some of these live and video segments. And then there you have it. Here comes the next wave already moving in. We're only going to have about 3 to 4 days in between these systems. In fact, this morning when I posted on my TikTok, it was pretty remarkable to mention that on January 6th and into 7th, we're going to have one puppy moving through the south and southeast. And then immediately after that, on January 10th, is when all hell, I think, is going to break loose over the plains, up towards the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and then down here, as a matter of fact, because of the big monstrosity that we're tracking long range. This one here, as we continue through time, I know we're using the GFS, but we'll continue to carry it through anyways. Here comes our second guy right there, really tapping into leftover cold energy that was pulled down by that first system. Remember, guys, that's kind of the topic of discussion. Each of these weaker perturbations or waves that are coming through is just kind of priming the environment. It's allowing a little bit more cold air seepage, as we call it. And it's allowing some of our modified tropical Caribbean air to get a little bit further up into the Gulf of Mexico. Because if you look, we have our 540 line troughing way south into central Texas, and here's our 570 line. So you have quite a contrast in temperature and thickness. 1, 2, 3. And then 4, 5 thickness lines right in through here. And the reason I bring that up is 540 line is usually our freezing line. 540 line, as you guys can see right in through here, as a matter of fact, the model does a great job of highlighting it. At 540 decameter thickness, that's typically where you see your entire profile from ground level all the way to your troposphere, tropopause, go freezing. So that's where you have your rain and snow line. And the fact that our entire profile could be frozen over the Texas Panhandle trying to get into interior Texas, but then we have our 570 line, which usually highlights the delineation between our maybe kind of cooler air to the north, modified air to the north, and then down to the south of that is where we have more of our subtropical air, more of our actual warm equatorial air. That's why I bring this up. So as you can see already, this is Saturday morning, or I should say overnight Saturday, moving into Saturday morning. We already have a pretty explosive level event that could be taking place over the southern plains, moving into Dixie Alley. And as you carry this through, take a look at how strong, if not potent thunderstorm activity, but more or less very heavy rainfall is expected to occur over the southeast, moving into Florida, where we may have our second shot at some storm chasing, depending on how this shakes out. Because if you guys look, we have our 570 line coming in to a thickness ribbon right there into central Florida, right on the leading edge of where this cold advection is. Now, the problem with this is, though, is if you look, our 540 line has receded back up in through here, so we're not going to have a tremendous amount of cold air punching through this system, at least on the south side of it. We could see dry air, and dry air entrainment is definitely going to help these storms, but all in all, it looks like we're going to have really good winter weather up to the north, and then at the very least, some strong winds and good flooding potential down here for the southeast. And then this guy is what's really going to help to start pulling in these very, very robust polar and Arctic temperatures. Because now, if you notice, we have a 492 thickness line here. We have our 504 thickness line pretty much all across the northern periphery of this chart. And then look at the cyclogenesis that's occurring over the Great Basin, kind of moving into the Intermountain West towards the Four Corners. This is the one. This is the big one. This guy, if we don't see any kind of severe weather really unfold from this, I do think we'll have some severe winter weather to talk about for the Midwest, some freezing rain because we have cold air dammed up against the lee of the Appalachians. It's difficult for you guys to see, but our thickness lines are doing this, like so. And what that tells me is we have cooler air nestled in up against the lee of the mountains up there, the Appalachians, and then we have warm air trying to come up from the south and cold air along the back side of it sinking in as well. And what that does is it helps to create a low-level warm layer to allow for freezing rain or sleet. So dangerous conditions could possibly be unfolding for the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. And then down here, we'll really have to wait until we're a bit closer in time. Again, this is first weekend of January, so still a little ways away. This one we have to watch. We could see a marginal risk for severe weather down here. But then this guy, this bad boy right here, look at how much temperature discontinuity, how much cold air advection, how deep of a low we're expecting over the Central Plains. And look at this, boom. Huge, huge line of possible thunderstorm activity, very huge swath of snow, blizzard conditions, easily winter storm blizzard conditions all through here, especially with that very, very tight pressure gradient. And that is a whopper of a pressure gradient, just to give you guys a little bit of a clue. If you look, this is a 1042 high, a 1042 high down to a 988 millibar low. So if you do the math, I think that's anywhere between a 50 to 60 millibar difference from here to here. So that all is going to be a tremendous wind tunnel. And then on top of that, what a lot of people fail to realize is pressure gradient is one piece of the puzzle. When you have such dense cold air, like look at this. We have our 492 thickness line. Right up here is going to be our 488 thickness line. And then here is our 540 line way down into the south. So our freezing line is all the way down into the southern plains, just to give you a perspective. And because that's such dense air, that's also going to create a bit of momentum in the movement of your air particles, not to get too sciencey on you guys. So that's also going to increase the amount of wind flow we see down in the low to mid levels of the environment. So we have all this cold air forcing, and then we have huge return flow occurring. So this one, I do think we're going to see a potential severe outbreak. Just as Metallica, Alabama was saying, which is way out and will change, but the Euro has a massive storm showing up. This has been trending. This has definitely been trending, and that's why I really think we should all start talking about it. I know it's still a little ways away, but stratospheric warming, all this other stuff that people were talking about 2 to 3 weeks out, I'm not even worried about that. It's this big old whopper of a system that I think we do need to pay a little bit more attention to and at least start speculating the possibility of getting severe weather down here and another blizzard set up for the Great Lakes, the Northern Plains, the Midwest, and possible freezing rain right up along the Mid-Atlantic coast, lee of the Appalachians, moving up into the Northeast, where they just recently had a bout of freezing rain, if I'm not mistaken. As you continue to transition it through time, the GFS does a very interesting thing with the 12Z run. If you notice, it kind of stalls our front out over the Big Bend area of Florida and allows even more moisture to surge up out of the Gulf of Mexico, probably in part due to our El Nino jet, because here's our 570 line. So this is extreme thickness and temperature gradient right here. This is even closer now. There's our 540 line. Here's our 570 line. I'll go ahead and draw it so you guys can see 540, 570. So this is our freezing level or our freezing line. This is going to be our subtropical or ST air down here. So very, very good contrast on either side of this. So again, if we don't get severe weather this upcoming weekend, we could see some flooding. We'll definitely see a lot of rain and snow with that. It's going to be this next one that I do think we really need to start thinking ahead and starting to put out at least outlooks for our official sources out there. Look at all this lake effect that's also going on up there. That's going to be blizzard-like as well. Still a very, very good pressure gradient. There's a 1043 high pressure over the central part of the United States. So that's going to be cold, very cold, and that's what's going to help to aid all of our significant return flow over the south and southeast. We'll move on. We'll go to the Canadian model. Canadian model is thinking the same thing. Check this out. So you go back just a little bit, and there you have it. Again, very, very good, potent push. This is like a textbook severe weather event. And the Canadian model actually looks a little bit more dangerous than what our GFS is thinking for the first time. If you look right in through here, that is definitely a very strong squall line that's going to impact the mid-Atlantic all the way through the Florida Panhandle, probably getting into Central Florida. You track it a couple more timestamps in time. Very powerful system. That's a textbook bona fide comma cloud right here. I can even draw it for you guys like so. There's our comma. So this is definitely almost could be kind of superstorm-ish because of just how many different features we're going to have interacting, and I'll show you that here in a second. Canadian model is also on board with this next bad boy coming through, kind of hinting at maybe a marginal risk for some severe weather down here in Florida. So we'll see. Like I said, models are lining up really well. This is, again, over this upcoming weekend, January 6th into the 7th. Timing is maybe a couple hours off. I'm hoping this is more of the end result because this would put all the severe weather potential in for the afternoon where we can also see it. If I go back to the GFS and I rewind it way back to that previous system, if you look, most of that hellacious weather is going to be coming in once again, just like with the last storm chase we did Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So hopefully in this case, as who was it? Metallica had mentioned, we do see some adjustments and some wiggle wobble. I do think we're going to get this storm, though. All of our models are in such great consensus now. The timing is nearly on point. The intensity of it is very much so on point. You know, like, look at, like, that's crazy. I'm telling you, we definitely need to watch this third system. Lots of very, very good severe potential through the south. This could be storm chasing galore for folks who want to travel down there, because this is definitely going to be it. That's definitely, if we don't get any severe, even a marginal risk with that first little comma feature that we talked about over the southeast for the 6th and the 7th, this one's definitely going to do it. That one's definitely going to do it. I have very, very good confidence in that. So this is what's happening. This is our 0Z Euro. I'm not sure if the 12Z, okay, yeah, we can use the 12Z now. The 12Z is almost all the way in. So if you notice, our El Nino jet is still there. It's kicking. It's definitely helping to pump some increased stuff across the south. There's that finger of the jet that's really going to bring in the next possible severe system. And as you can see, it is negatively tilted. We got the negatively tilted trough. We have a collision between our subtropical jet and our polar front jet, and lots of good diffluence out ahead of it right in through here. So again, you know, I'm thinking right now, this far out in time, I got to run out to get some things for tonight. Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, Brooke. Like I said, that's why I'm kind of doing it live, so we can just very casually walk through all this. I would imagine not a whole lot of people are going to be sitting and watching segments of YouTube on, you know, at least I know I'm not. Once I clock out of here, I'm going to be done with the computer for the day. I'm going to be off my phone. I'm just going to be starting cooking and whatnot. In fact, in the next 20 or so minutes, I got to put steaks in the oven. But, yeah, so again, you know, very good possible severe scenario here. We got a negative tilted trough. We have some good vorticity at 500 and 700 millibars. Excellent diffluent flow out ahead of this bad boy. And then we have the interaction between our subtropical jet and the polar front coming down as well. So that is true. Football today. Football. And then here comes that really strong one. Look at this. Very, very robust jet. This is our polar front right in through here. This is our subtropical jet, and then this little weak finger right here is actually northern branch jet activity. So we have 3 jets in this bad boy moving through the south, which is why if we don't get any severe weather, any kind of solid action with that first weekend of January system, this guy is going to really blow it up. This one's going to be the fireworks show, the main event, if you will. We'll go over to the Euro. We'll go ahead and click on the 12 Zulu and take it through time, and I'm going to kind of nix the narrating for now just so I could look and see what the Euro is thinking, because this is our fresh model run for right now. Yep, so there's our first system, the little Rainmaker that I had mentioned a little bit ago. Here comes that next one. Oh, yeah, next one, Euro. Yeah, look at that. Actually, I'll go ahead and narrate. Look at this. The Euro has definitely upped the chance of seeing some severe weather with that second one over the weekend. Again, though, unfortunately, GFS and Euro are right in line with one another. Right in line. 0Z on the 7th. So this is Saturday night going into Sunday morning. Again, definitely looking like we'll have to watch for a severe potential down here in the southeast. I would definitely, for those of you guys in PM, Supercharas, how close are we? I would definitely think if SPC doesn't give us at least a level 2 severe risk with this, I would be very baffled. I'd be very baffled. Because we'll have a 995 millibar low moving through the mid-Atlantic Appalachians, and 995 in comparison to this 1022 and 1028 high pressure off to its east. That's going to be a funnel for all of our moist and warm air out of the south. So we're going to have a very good gradient for the southeast quadrant and the Florida Peninsula of the United States. So I'm definitely thinking this guy is going to be a marginal to maybe a subtly above marginal risk for severe weathers. Could be some tornado potential out there as well. Just looking at the way that sets up. And then here we go. Here's the main event. Boom. Big. Not at, well, I mean, then again, weather models kind of blurs it together just a little bit. But here, let me move the screen over just a little. There you go. So you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. There we go. So very, very impactful weather. There's our 540 line and lots of really good thickness values coming out. Lots of snowfall for the northern and central Rockies, moving into the upper Midwest and the northern plains. This right here is going to be a very solid squall-like feature. I know for certain that's going to be a very powerful squall feature. Look at this perfectly north to south oriented pressure gradient, very tight pressure gradient. So I would not be surprised if our models are already starting to elevate how much, instability and buoyancy we're going to get on the leading edge of this. There's the front right there. So it's really going to blast through. That's going to be a very strong wind event. So again, we might not see tornadoes. We might not see hail with this. We're really going to have to wait until we're right up against this time frame. So as we're getting hit by that first system on the 6th and the 7th, that's when we'll have a very good idea, and we'll start seeing that cyclogenesis out to the west of this next system possibly popping off, and then we'll really start to dig into the nitty-gritty to see exactly what happens with the environmental dynamics that we have shaping up for the southeast. Because another small possibility is, even though this is already a tremendous low, we're going to have enough time to modify that cool air that comes through with this first system. Because that's another thing I'm thinking about. If this comes through and we keep this high pressure down here for long enough, we might not, this high right here is what I'm looking at, guys. It's not stamped, but if we keep this high pressure down here long enough and the cooler air around it to marinate over the south and southeast long enough, we might not have enough surface heating, enough actual low-level instability to mix things up and get it kind of crazy. But then again, just looking ahead, look at right there already. This is the 8th Monday. We already have an open Gulf, open channel of good moisture right in through here, so I don't know. It's going to be up in the air. We're still a few days out, but that definitely looks like a really good widespread. I'm talking multi-regional severe weather events, severe winter conditions for this entire quadrant of the U.S., possible severe thunderstorms and tornadoes for the south. And then they're definitely going to have winter conditions out west. So as I put in the thumbnail and the title of this video, we need to really watch these storms closely. This is going to be a nationwide event. And then I believe after this, we're going to clear out for a little while. You can see because of this cold air, everything's going to kind of go stable. Damn, look at that. Wow, 984 millibar nor'easter up there. So this is going to be a severe winter event for these guys and impossible, really, really hellacious thunderstorm activity along the leading edge of that frontal boundary with lots of good non-convective winds. So even after this front goes through, we're probably still going to be gusting 30, 35 knots in some areas with some good cold air funneling through terrain and through urban areas, really upping how much wind we get out of this. There's my GFS from earlier. I'll go ahead and close this. We don't need it anymore. So this is what has me very concerned about this first one, guys. I know this is just very, very psychedelic colors. I like to say that a lot, but this is our 850 millibar temp anomaly, just how cold it's going to be getting on the back side of the system and how warm we're going to be getting on the opposite side of it. That's why I love to use this chart, because it shows you we could possibly, look at these shades of white all in through here. And if you look at our color index, that's between 7 to 12 degrees Celsius of warm air advection. So in comparison to what the temperature was before we got to this point in time, we're looking at a 10, if not 8, maybe upwards of 12 degree Charlie warm, or warm advection, warm air increase across the front end of this system. And then down on the back side of it, look at these shades of coloring right here. We're down here. So very stark contrast in our temperatures. All, by itself, this right in here is going to be definite severe weather. Let me change the color so you can see it. This gradient right in through here, severe weather. Undoubtedly. We're on a collision course for some very, very, very strong storms and wintry precip up and through here. And because of the warming trend that we're seeing at 850, I would not be surprised if you see these little anomalies right in through here, the cool anomalies just off the coast. There's probably some cooler anomalies underneath. So we're going to have freezing rain to think about as well, which is very dangerous for our Northeast and our Great Lakes area. So this by itself already tells me huge event. Huge severe weather event if this shakes out. This is also another thing I'm looking at. This is looking real bad. So obviously we know with tropical systems, we don't want dry air. Obviously, this is a totally different ball game. Tropical systems, you don't want dry air. Dry air is just going to mess up a tropical cyclone. It's entirely warm core compact. It's its own powerhouse of energy. In this case, with all this very, very dense dry air working in along the backside of it, this is also going to help to provide us with very, very good severe weather potential because this is called dry air entrainment. It's going to help with the production of very potent and dense updrafts. It's going to help with the possibility of seeing some hailstones forming in these robust updrafts. And then naturally, it goes without saying, we're going to increase our tornado threat with this just about how much dry air we have moving in on the backside of it. So as I told everybody in my earlier TikTok video, and I apologize, I think there's an ad running right now. As I told folks in the TikTok update I posted earlier today, severe weather down here, guaranteed. I'm like 90% confident at this point that we got to start preparing for some severe weather, if not flooding, at the minimum, and strong convective winds with this. Because with all this dry air, all that's going to do is help to increase our convective downrush potential, which is essentially when these storms rain themselves out, those updrafts are going to be so dense with cool, dry air that they're going to come down in a rush, and you're going to have very microburst potential with all that. Models are changing a lot, just like we watched the change for tropical systems. They are, but they're not at the same time. These models, especially the GFS, have been very good popping this bad boy up for much of the country. So that's why we're definitely taking some time to talk about it. And then obviously it goes without saying, very sharp contrast in our dew points. Let me make sure you guys can see the screen okay. Yeah, you can. Very sharp, stark contrast in dew points. Look at this. Single-digit dew points over the plains, the southern plains, and then right up here we warm up into almost 70-degree dew points with more warm advection already occurring for the Florida Peninsula. So right here, definitely right there, possible very, very major severe weather outbreak. And then up here we're going to have blizzard conditions for sure. And then last but not least, I was not very impressed with our mixing layer cape, but you can see that as it goes through time, that ML cape is just going to get pulled up to the north. Lots of good cape possibility on the front end of that system as we see this very strong polar high work its way out of Canada. And that instability could go all the way as far north as Manhattan. So this is going to be a very, very expansive system. Let's come back to weathermodels.com real quick. I want to see what our current cape outlooks look like. Let's see, cape surface. We'll use the Euro first. We'll go United States. And let's see. This is 12 Zulu. Let's see what kind of cape values we have down there. So there's the first one. That's the first one right there. And you can see we're already between 400 to 800 joules per kilogram over the Florida Peninsula. So modest stretch of cape. But let's see the next one. What does the next one look like? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Very good cape values all the way up into the plains. And I know it doesn't look like much on here, but these shades are a little misleading because a lot of these shades already indicate between 1,000 and below threshold. And look at how much cape we have pulling in through the Gulf of Mexico that could possibly create some waterspout conditions along the west coast of Florida. So that's going to be a big event. Definitely going to have to look at these parameters closer as we get closer in time. Let's see, what other model can we look at? Let's look at the GEFS, our GFS ensembles, since they're a little bit more reliable this far out. So here's the 5th and the 6th. Not too much cape with that first system. And then the next one, pretty good cape, but it looks like a lot of it wants to remain untapped until about this point over the Florida Peninsula, which would mean we'd have some sort of a capping mechanism over the state and very weak gradient up through the southeast. This caps the Florida Peninsula off at about 750, maybe just underneath 1,000 joules per kilogram of just surface cape. So still nothing to scoff at, still a decent amount that's out there. Metallica, Alabama, see you soon. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to join me for this live discussion. We're going to be calling it very soon, I promise. We're already 33 minutes in. I have to go throw some steaks in the oven and continue my pulled pork, so no worries. It'll be done very momentarily. Oh, yeah, I agree. All the people griping about no snowfall, no winter, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a major cold plunge. And everybody is going to see it. But yeah, guys, that's about it. That's pretty much what I wanted to brief you all. And, yeah, that's all she wrote. We have some very, very good systems to look at. So key takeaway is we want to make sure that we're watching for... Oh, I want to do them in the grill. They're London broils, so I'm going to do them in the oven for a couple minutes and then possibly reverse sear them after that, just to make sure that they are good to go. These guys, I don't want to possibly dork up or dry them out on the grill. I'll admit I'm not that much of a proficient expert in the grilling art of meat or the art of grilling meat, so I'm going to do a reverse sear method. But that's an excellent suggestion. I love, especially on a charcoal grill, heck yeah. If I had some sirloin steaks or anything else that wouldn't be as, as much of a risk of butchering, then yeah, I would definitely do them on the grill. But yeah, folks, that is the end of the line for us. Let me go ahead and open this up a little bit, kind of talk to y'all for a little while, and then we'll cut out. I just want to say, first and foremost, that I know I've been a little lazy in some of my promises that I've made for this channel, especially some of the compilations and the commentaries that I've been wanting to do. They're still in the back of my mind, and they are still written down, and we will definitely get to them. But I want to say, especially for those of you who are watching this after this live stream goes out, hopefully you are. Hopefully this doesn't get lost in the YouTube algorithm because this is a live and not an actual bona fide video. I might make a very short segment after this just to upload to the channel and see if we can get a little more traffic to that. But guys, it goes without saying, weather aside, it has been a phenomenal experience talking weather, connecting, meeting with every single one of you here in our live discussions on our live stream since Idalia back in August. I was looking at some of my old videos, and it's crazy how far we've already come in just the span of approximately 4 to 5 months. That's all it's been. It feels like so much longer. But we've only been really active on YouTube since early August, September, October, November, December. So yeah, a little over 4 going on 5 months now. Once we get into about the second week of January, it'll be our 5-month anniversary on YouTube. And boy, honestly, I couldn't ask for a better viewer base. You guys are truly amazing. You guys are awesome. And I'm really excited to see what 2024 brings to us, whether it be a lot of, nothing, just busts left and right, or if this is a sign of what 2024 is going to bring with us with such a big weather maker already coming onto the calendar and getting on the charts as of the first weekend and into the second week of January. It could be a huge sign of what we're going to be dealing with when we get into the spring thunderstorm season, the spring tornado season, as well as the highly acclaimed, the highly, the highly anticipated hurricane season. But yes, it's only been 4 months. We got started in the beginning of August, September, October, November, and then December now, and then we're right on the cusp of 5 months. So we're about 4.5, 4.7 months on YouTube, and I think we're doing fairly okay for ourselves and still learning day by day to produce better content for you guys. But that's about it. I really do hope that you guys have a glorious and spectacular New Year's Eve. I honestly woke up and I was a little sad. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a little bittersweet to see on my phone on the home screen Sunday, December 31st. It's like, wow, that's another year come and gone. I can be a very sentimental and nostalgic individual, and just looking back on this whole year, all the different experiences that I had, even before joining the YouTube crowd and getting so heavy into the weather social media, it's been just a wild ride. Looking back at 2022, looking at the hurricanes, tracking some of them through other YouTube channels until I finally stepped into the platform myself, and still learning, still growing, still trying to experiment and just continue to keep moving. But I have high hopes and generally high hopes. And I won't say expectations, because expectations lead you to disappointment or possible disappointment. So I'll say I have very, very strong desires for 2024. And Lord willing, we can all get there working together as a community and stay ahead of whatever bad weather could be on the horizon. Because I think 2024 and even 2025, I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I do think these next 2 years, not just this upcoming year, but the next 2 years are going to be very, very anomalous, very unknown, very, very erroneous. We're going to have a lot of things to keep tabs on and a lot of work ahead of us. So, yeah. But the key takeaway for this live stream, big weather systems to already start the new year. And I just wanted to tell you guys, I really, really hope that you guys enjoy your New Year's festivities, whatever it is that you get into. I really hope that if you have to work, like Gary had mentioned in the chat earlier, I really hope that you guys are working and you're safe and sound to and from. I hope that you just enjoy and love up on every single person in your family and friends, and we just see what happens. We have a lot to look forward to and a lot to be thankful for. And I'm definitely very thankful for this YouTube channel and every single person who has shown me even the slightest bit of support over the last several months. Even if you're no longer here on the channel, if you've unsubscribed, but you were once a supporter and you've moved on to another weather source, that's okay. It was still a good run that we had, and we'll see exactly what 2024 has us going for as we get into the first quarter of it. The first quarter is going to tell us a lot about a lot of things. First quarter is going to tell us how the end of winter is going to look, what the spring season is going to look like if El Nino starts to weaken down, and it's also going to tell us a lot about the hurricane season. So it's going to be a very pivotal next 3 months, January, February, and especially March. Those 3 months are going to be extremely pivotal, not only for this channel, but for the entire weather community across the globe. So thank you all very much for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream now. I'm thinking about doing a very, very short segment after this. Very short. I'll try to make it no more than 5 to 7 minutes long so I can edit and upload and see what happens. But yeah, guys, it's been a pleasure. It really has. And I know it sounds like we're signing out permanently, but we're rolling into the new year. And we'll see what that exactly has in store for us. I know the 365 days are upon us, and I'm really looking forward to rolling into it together with each and every one of you guys. So please be safe. Enjoy as much of the holiday festivities while we still can. I can't believe that the holiday season is just about over. And yeah, again, it's a wait and see. We will see what happens. Tomorrow, if not on Tuesday at the very latest, I also want to plug in that we'll be doing another video or another live stream to digest all of our new Climo data as well. Since it will be January 1st, we'll get a whole new fresh month's worth of climatology data, and we can go ahead and take another examination and predict very far out, very long range, what the initial start of the tropical season could look like and how busy it could be. So look forward to that as well. But thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you very much as well for taking some time out of your New Year's Eve, especially in the afternoon, to join me today. Had a very small crowd, but you know what? I'm thankful for each and every single person who did join in today, and I'll see you again very soon. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.